An arrest has been made in the case. Kristen Brock's 17-year-old daughter, Sarah Grace Patrick, has been taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault in connection with the deaths of her mother and her stepfather.
We continue tracking a trending story out of Georgia as a teenager is facing murder charges for allegedly killing her own mother and her stepfather. Police believe this girl, 17-year-old Sarah Grace Patrick, shot and killed the couple in their home back in February. That's according to investigators. They say that Patrick then turned herself in on Tuesday. This is almost 5 months after she was the one who placed the 911 call to report the killings. The bodies of James and Kristen Brock were found by the couple's 5-year-old daughter, who's Patrick's younger sister. Now, motive remains unclear. There are no signs of forced entry in the home. The facts of this case stunning, but outside of that, this teenage suspect made a few cryptic posts on her TikTok account right after the incident.
He doesn't know it, but a year from now, our family will be torn apart, and I will move far away and won't see or talk to him for 5 years. I'm feeling so tired.
All right, so now you can imagine TikTokers are calling her out because of those posts they saw, and now she's the one that law enforcement says is their suspect. So what was she trying to do with those videos? Was she trying to use them as manipulation? Was she trying to manipulate public opinion about the case? Let's bring in our experts. I want to welcome in parenting and family relationship expert Dr. Sue Kornbluth and criminology expert, author, and professor Dr. Debbie Goodman. Great to have you ladies here. Okay, was there some manipulation going on with this child in the court of public opinion? Dr. Sue, would you start us off with your thoughts, please?
Good morning, ladies. That is one opinion that you could make from seeing this. Perhaps, though, there's another scenario here. And I like to look at all sides. So one of the things that I see here is that this teen is severely mentally ill. That is my feeling just by looking at her face and into her eyes. And I think there has been some tremendous amount of abuse done to her that is going to come out that we are not aware of that happened within this family, because there's always something that happens to cause behavior like this. Was she trying to get sympathy? Perhaps she was. Perhaps she was trying to get her story out there before it happened in a way of a cry for help. I don't know, but that's what I think has happened here.
Dr. Sue, appreciate your insights. Dr. Debbie Goodman, of course we want yours. When I look at this child, you know, she's not an adult yet, she's close, but a teenage girl, if she did commit these crimes, this is really scary. And if she was trying to manipulate the public opinion, even scarier perhaps. Your thoughts, what do you see as a criminology expert when you look at these facts?
Good morning. Thank you. My thinking first, Julie, is the categories of crime that this one circumstance falls into. First, we call it parricide, killing of parent. Then we have 2 other subdivisions, of course: patricide, killing of the father, the patriarch; matricide, killing of mother, the matriarch. So for this case, I'm going to create the theory, the fame game theory, and we'll use the acronym for FAME. The F for family. I think this young lady murdered her family to then garner the A for attention. M, she absolutely is and has been manipulating the media. And lastly, for the E, empathy. So it is a terrible crime. It really represents, it is rare in the homicide category, because annually of all the homicides, parricide represents at or near 1%, but I do not feel sorry at all for this young lady, and it's devastating.
It sure is. Dr. Debbie, you know, I always appreciate the acronyms you'll give us from time to time to help us understand these cases. I took notes: fame, family, attention, manipulation, and empathy. Dr. Sue, I want to go back to you as our psychology expert. Dovetailing off of what you just shared with us about there could have been abuse, in your view, that might have done something to this child's brain, triggering this. Hearing what Dr. Debbie just said, does this seem to fit with what you just said, if she is an abused child?
I think if she is an abused child, you know, her behavior did not come from nowhere. So some of what happened in this home caused her probably to do this, affected the way her brain works. Does that mean that she's innocent? Absolutely not. Okay.
Right.
She killed her parents here. So I agree with Dr. Debbie on that. But what I'm saying is that there is something behind or some motive that happened here for this young girl to take the lives of her parent and her step parent. We've looked at many, many cases on here, Julie, and I think that we can concur that as more information comes out, we see that there is trauma within these families that leads to a child to do these horrific behaviors.
You very well may be right. And for anybody tuning in, we don't have any confirmation that there was any kind of abuse. This is a theory that Dr. Sue has based on her experience as somebody who's a clinician and has many years, an author as well. And we don't know if she killed her parents. That's the allegation from police. I have to wonder, because, I mean, she turns herself in after this happens in February. I have to wonder if she was overlooked by police as a suspect. If they looked at these children, you know, she called, made the report, the younger child is there in the house. I wonder if, I mean, we look at her mugshot, you know, does she look like she's the kind of kid that commits homicides? Do we even know what anybody looks like who commits homicides? These days, you know, nobody, not everybody looks like Charles Manson, right? Okay, let's talk a little bit more about something else. So she had some more than just her own videos. Apparently, she was interacting as well with other true crime TikTokers. There are a lot of people who have interest in true crime, as we know. They have TikTok, YouTube channels. And so this kid was reaching out, apparently, to at least one other influencer that we know of. Let's take a look.
This is Sarah Grace, and she messaged me back on June 3rd and just said, search up Brock case. So I said, Brock Turner? Brock who? She said, Kristen and James Brock. Hold on. They're my parents, and out of nowhere, a random Thursday night in February, someone came in my house with me and my 5-year-old sister, and my parents left them for me and my little sister to wake up to. On Tuesday afternoon, Carroll County Sheriff's Office announced that they have arrested 17-year-old Sarah Grace Patrick. She is facing 2 murder charges and 2 aggravated assault charges. The girl that asked me to cover the case has been arrested.
Ooh, the girl that asked her to cover the case. So let's try to get inside the mind of Sarah Patrick. What was she thinking in reaching out to that influencer in the true crime space? Let's bring back in doctors Debbie Goodman and Sue Kornbluth. Dr. Debbie, let me go to you on this. What'd you think when you heard that?
That's startling, Julie. Again, we understand how and why social media is used, and in many instances for very good cause, for information, education, entertainment. However, I think we want to be mindful that we certainly don't want crimes and criminals to be glorified or glamorized on these platforms. And I do think that this defendant was reaching out for an attention grab to get the spotlight on her.
I do too. Dr. Sue, let me go back to you. Now, does this change anything if Sarah Patrick is a trauma child, and we don't know if she is? What about this behavior, trying to get other people on board with her narrative?
It doesn't change my opinion that abuse probably took place here. But what it does do is say that she was probably extremely disturbed and maybe even psychotic, manipulative, has sociopathic tendencies, and was reaching out to get attention in the media, and saw, perhaps before this on television, when someone murders someone, they get extreme attention put on them. But what this tells me from a psychological standpoint is this child was craving attention in all the wrong ways.
Well said. We'll keep following this case, going to cover it intensely next time she's in court. We have to say goodbye and a big thank you to you both for the great insight and analysis. Dr. Sue Kornbluth, Dr. Debbie Goodman, thank you much. Have a great weekend.